What's up, guys? Daemonxel back again with another Eve Frontier video. That's right, it is Eve Frontier Fridays, where we discuss what happened on the stream, and we have gotten some really, really good answers to your burning questions about this cycle, about what's coming in the future, even about some puzzles that we were trying to solve. So, let's talk about it. All right, so we are discussing what happened on the podcast today, the stream, and we got some big news for this. Now, again, this is my version of the Frontier Fridays news, where we're going to condense that hour-long session down into about 10-15 minutes. So we're going to go through all the questions that were asked. We're going to discuss them, tell you what the answers were, what they gave and everything. And as you can see, yes, I am not wearing the hat today. I know, shocking. But also, I am sorry there was not a lot of videos this week. Work has been murder on me. So hopefully when things let up a little bit, I can release some more videos. I know I still have some more to put out there. And since we're leaning into it now, let's get it all out of the way. If you haven't bought your copy of Frontier and you're looking to become a founder, go ahead and use my code, which is down in the description below. You can use that link. Earn me some grace, earn yourself some grace. And I'm trying to keep on top of that leaderboard, and I'm very close to 50 recruits, and I'm trying to reach that threshold because I don't think anyone's ever hit 50 plus recruits before, and I really just want to cross that that one boundary there, that one threshold of that 50, and get that extra 5K grace. So let's talk about the questions that were asked. Now, these were questions that were submitted through the official Discord, as well as they're going to be doing this again. Let me bring up my notes. So that's the first question, but let me bring up my notes real quick, and then we can go from there. All right. So again, the stream. They will be having another stream on Thursday, the 7th, and this is going to be about their vision, basically the vision trailer that came out. And right after that stream on the official Discord, you will be able to ask more questions, submit more questions about whatever you want to learn. Basically, anything that was in the stream or anything that wasn't answered before, and they're going to be answered on that Friday's podcast. So the next day they will be answered. So let's go to the first question, which was from an XT member, Andrenia. When will we be able to interact with smart storage from production facilities? This has been, everyone's been asking for this, right? It's such a pain in the ass to try to move things from your short smart storage and then have to put it into your cargo and then into a portable. And then it's just, why can't you just pick it up from the unit that you're using? Well, they did say that, the smart units have more complexity because they work with the other smart units intelligently. So it is proving a challenge for them. Unfortunately, even in this next cycle that is coming up, right? We're moving into cycle 2 of phase 5 after the 13th. So this cycle is gonna end on the 13th. Whether the new cycle picks up on the 13th or the 14th, I'm not really sure of, but we did get confirmation that it will be ending on the 13th. But it will not be ready by next cycle. So again, be ready to be doing the same thing that you're doing now, which is taking things out of your smart storage, transferring it into your cargo, and then transferring it into a portable, storage, or directly putting into whichever your production you're using, whether it be your printers, whether it be your printers, your refiners, or your assemblers, everything like that. So unfortunately, we still have to do the move from place A to B, then to C, instead of from A to B currently right now. Now, they did say there is a small chance that it will be done near the end of cycle 2, this one coming up. And remember, these cycles typically last about 2 months, so we should be possibly getting it, I would say, September, October-ish, right? If not, then it'll definitely be in cycle 3. All right, so the next question is about black holes. And it says, will it be possible to visually observe black holes, and will they have physical effect on ships as they fly close to them? They did say yes. Emphatically, yes. There will be graphical models for these as well as physical effects on your ship. Systems near it will be able to see it via the skybox. They said currently right now you can see it in the skybox now, but they want to make it more interactive, right? They said not only are they going to impact the system, but throughout the universe itself, as well as your ship. So look forward to that. Big burning question everyone's been asking. Rifts, right? Rifts, the Rift spawn system working as intended, or does it need work? If changes, can you please elaborate? Yes, I started that huge Discord post about. Yeah, there was a massive Discord post about it. Now, they did say they are working currently as intended. However, we do not have the tools in the game that we need to track them down. So it's not implemented yet. And what I mean that is scanning is coming to the game. There will be a way to scan down rifts and be able to look at their signature and find out where they are. But currently, right now, they are working as intended. So it feels random when you come across it, only because we do not have tools to actually locate exactly where they are. They also said that there is no info on these releases for these systems because they are in its infancy. And that rifts as well will have effects on the galactic geography. So it's not random. All right, since we're talking about rifts, the next question is about that pesky Rift 0020. It says, how does it work? We have tried so many different things to get this site to drop loot, but no one has gotten anything from it yet. You guys had mentioned earlier that it was supposed to drop loot, so what gives? Okay. So now they did say that this is a puzzle, right? Let's see, where do I have that here? I scrolled down too far. Sorry, okay. So it is functioning as intended. They are not bugged. It's, to quote specifically, he said, just because it's a hard puzzle doesn't mean it's not a puzzle. They want to keep these hard puzzles in the game. They feel that it has value, especially to the first person who solves that puzzle, right? But yeah, the answer is there. We just not have stumbled across it. They did say, however, that even though it is complex, we might not have the tools currently needed in the game to crack said puzzle. So take that with a grain of salt and add that to your theories about trying to solve that riddle. All right, moving on. The next one is from Reap Eco Martin, brother in Reap. So far, development of a ship types has been quite similar to EVE Online, in that you have ships that can mine ore, or ships that can shoot. You know, you have Logi. He wants to know, is there any thought gone into classes of ships that do something new? For example, a ship that siphons fuel and potentially its opposite. In other words, a refueling ship. They did say, yes, new ship types are very similar, working off of the blueprint of EVE Online. However, in this next cycle that we're going to be going into, this is cycle 2 that we're going into, they are going to introduce us to new ships that belong in the frontier, right? The frontier setting, the universe, the wasteland, that will have different functions than ships in EO. You know, in other words, like your Logi, you have your haulers, stuff like that. There's going to be new ships that only have certain functions specifically tailored to EVE Frontier. Also, on Thursday, when we get that vision trailers, we're going to get a sneak peek of those ships. So stay tuned and be sure to look at that. Of course, I'll be doing a follow-up video after they do the stream. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, next one is from James Lee, another brother in Reap. I know I'm biased. I'm a Reaper. What do you want? He asks, lots of systems, most are empty or useless. Are there plans to actually make thousands of systems of use? Or will it just be that way in the galaxy is filled with systems that are so insignificant that they don't generate any points of interest? And the simple answer to that was yes. They will all have a use, but also they want to point out that even here on Earth, we have points or spots on Earth that are barren, such as deserts, and that same kind of biome, I guess you would say, is kind of adhered to the universe, right? There's going to be barren spots in the universe where there's really nothing going on. However, they did also say that filling 20,000 plus systems and making each of them feel big and unique is a monumental task, and they will be continuing doing so for years. It's not like it's going to be done anytime soon. This is just going to be an ongoing thing where they just keep building each of these systems out and making each bigger as the game proceeds on. All right, the next question is about damage, right? It says, are you planning on keeping the current damage type system, What sorts of changes might we expect to see in regards of how the system currently works? Uh, will thermal damage ever cause the opposing ship to actually heat up? Now, that's a very good question. They also point out it was a very good question. They do want to improve it. Basically, that yes, they want to make like thermal. You get hit with a thermal charge, will heat up your ship, and causing you to take more not more thermal damage, but basically how you heat up, and if you overheat, you lose track of some of your stuff. That's what they want overall. However, that is a long way down the roads. They want to continue building on the foundation of the game first before doing those systems. So there's a lot of fundamental things and foundational things they have to do within the game before they even start tinkering with that. Overlord did drop some lore, though, that one of the damage types that's going to be new to this game is going to be in basically feral space, and it's going to be basically feral damage where your ship can be infected with a feral virus, and possibly you as a rider as well, getting this feral sickness. So it sounds very, very cool, but also kind of sounds like, well, if I get taken over by the feral virus, does my character become feral, and then do I lose control of my character? If you're going to go to the system, are you going to see a NPC Daemonxel coming after you? Who knows? We'll find out. Next question is from Turvan. Currently, the tutorial is rather rudimentary and it leaves players vulnerable to fall into a few different new player traps, such as running out of fuel or stranding themselves in a very hot system. How do you plan to address this and similar future issues that may crop up moving forward? And they basically said that it's never going to be perfect. There will always be someone who doesn't like it or falls into one of these categories. But they're going to keep making improvements upon the new player experience in the tutorial, especially as they get closer to release, and especially as they release more core features, such as like the ship controls, the WASD. So look forward to that, and it's just going to be an ever-changing thing as the game gets older and it introduces new things. So I'm sure like scanning will be in there. All right. The next question is a hot button topic, and it is about multiboxing. How do you plan to limit multiboxing? This is a critical topic for many players. Yes, a huge debate is always sparked on the official Discord for this. Who's for multiboxing? Who's against multiboxing? Does it hurt the game? Does it hurt the player? Well, they said they don't want to build a system that inhibits a player from doing this, from multiboxing, but rather they want to make the game more complex so it makes it much harder for you to actually pull it off. They use the analogy of you're playing World of Warcraft, right? Say you're multiboxing World of Warcraft, where you're playing, and you're in a raid, right? If you're a healer, it's kind of crazy. You got to monitor everybody, heal this person, heal the tank. Oh, people aren't getting out of the AoE, so you got to heal those groups. Now, consider trying to do that multiboxing, doing separate tasks. Oh, I got a DPS. I got to run my my rotation through this character, but I still have to heal with this character. Oh, and I'm running a tank as well. So they're making it so complex that it's not going to be extremely easy to pull off. They also are currently working on a new mining interactive mechanic to make it more engageable. So it's not just, set it up and forget it. So, but we're not going to see that anytime soon. It's not going to be at least for several cycles. So, but they are addressing those problems. So yeah, a lot of multi-boxers are using it for mining, but this is going to help, move that along. All right. Next question is from Anonymous. Let's see. Any details you can share on exploration mechanics? Can we expect to scan for things on the galactic map in addition to the system map? In other words, finding rogue planets or ruined facilities thrown out in a stellar orbit, Dyson spheres, stuff like that, And they loved the idea of the rogue planets. Let me just say that. They said a lot of the scanning mechanics are currently in its infancy forms right now. They do have a working prototype that they are working with. Nothing is anywhere close to being released, but they did say that the scanning is basically going to be based around heat, like everything else in the game. So what I mean by that is, say you're in space, right? The more modules that you are running on your ship currently that are active, the more heat it's going to produce, which is going to make your signature blow up because you're going to be brighter on that heat map. But if you're parked next to, say, the sun, you're not going to be able to differentiate between, your ship and the sun when doing one of these scans, because the scans are going to be giving off so much heat. But as far as the rogue planets goes, they said that's a discussion for further down the line with other departments. All right, the next one's about fitting. In its current state, the game essentially uses the fitting system from EVE with a few changes. The addition of an engine slot, the removal of baseline shield and armor from all ships. Do you see this as a problem evolving as a development process? Can we expect more slots, coolant slot for coolants with a high specific heat? So a lot of different things here, like missiles, drones, hull tanking, more viable. Now this is, they brought a lot of stuff in for this. What they wanted to say was they're going to be building off the foundation and the blueprint that EVE Online set forth, right? Before they tear the entire system down and redo it, they want to make sure everything's working beforehand. And they're going to be doing it in a different manner. So this goes for all systems that they're working for in the game. That's borrowed from EVE Online. They will be moving to a topological fitting system. And the current fitting system is going to be scrapped. Now, what I mean by that is, if you've seen one of the videos, it was a few phases ago, where it showed basically a ship and you're putting on different modular settings. So it basically makes every ship look kind of custom, right? And they go into more depth on this, saying that you can put armor on maybe the left side of your ship and turrets on the right side of your ship. So what that means is now everything is directionality. So if you are taking damage, you can turn your ship to the armor side and you'll be able to tank a lot more. You'll be able to take more damage. Turn it to the other side, you can deal a lot more damage because that's your damage side. Or basically like putting the armor on the bottom of your ship, right? Coming in, taking all that damage, and then kind of doing a barrel roll and then lighten everyone up. Now, this also brings into account that when you're going to be controlling your ship through WASD, having more control over your ship, it's going to make PvP, I would say more PvP's, but PvE as well. But PvP engagements are going to be a lot more in depth now and a lot more tactical if you think about it. Skill is going to be playing into this, and you'll be able to. Now, this is just from my thoughts from hearing this. You'll be able to do fleet formations now, kind of like if you think of a phalanx, right? The old was it the Greek phalanx? You had all the shields and then the spears coming out. Think about that and the ship, right? You have all these ships now interlocking to each other, all armor side, right? They're tanking, and then you could just have your damage dealers kind of float up and back down, coming up and down and lighting them up. So it's going to make battles, I think, very, very cool and a lot more engaging than let me orbit him. Let me fix my let me fit my angle here, and I think it's going to be very cool. Is it going to be too complicated for your average player? I don't know, but we'll have to see. And I am noticing that we are about halfway through with these questions, and we are running past 15 minutes. So it's going to be a little bit longer. It's going to be shorter than their video, but we are running a little bit longer. So let's go to the next question. This is from Micronova. In the world of player viewports and on-screen information on a scale of OG EVE to Elite, i.e. Elite Dangerous, what is the current design vision for what we'll be able to see? EVE being the full overview, full information, whereas Elite is you're sitting in the cockpit, you do a 180 cockpit view, you can look at your radar or your heat scanner. Now, they said it's not going to be anything like Elite Dangerous, but the overview and the UI and the way you find things is evolving from phase to phase. The way they do it in Elite would not basically work in eFrontier just due to the scale of the ships. In Elite Dangerous, you are basically dogfighting, right? The ships that you are they're spacecraft, right? Single pilot, and you're flying through. Whereas basically even the smallest ship in Frontier is considered a more of a starship, right? Not a spacecraft. And with that being said, they want everyone to know that the vision trailer that they put out, that a lot of people are saying, is nothing like the gameplay. They're using that as a reference, right? That's the template of what they're trying to create. especially with like the way the camera works, switching from cinematic views and such. Um, the the vision trailer is the concept or the reference for this game, which they're going to try and get to. Obviously, it's not going to be a one-to-one frame of how the vision trailer is, but they are wanting to get this game to that point. All right, the next question is about roadmap, right? What do we have for coming up in the future? When can we expect to see a roadmap for the game in its early stage? This is by Hackababa. It's already fun, but the indie game solo dev fun, but indie game solo, sorry. What is waiting around the bend? Okay, roadmap. They do not have one yet, but they did say in about a month, near the end of August, there will be one that is released. Now, the reason they haven't released one currently is when they come up with a roadmap, they want it to reflect 100% of what they intend to deliver, not having to go back and fix multiple systems or mechanics because they were trying to meet, some roadmap deadline. So look forward to that next month. And then we can see exactly what's going to be coming up in the future as far as phases and cycles come. The next one is about bosses, and this is from Hucky. Good morning. Could you all add more bosses to the cache areas, like the unknown, Prolum Solero? That way it could be more difficult and entertaining. Yeah, and also it would also prevent people from running in, grabbing the cache, and ducking out, right? So they say yes. Emphatically, yes, they will be doing this. However, they also want you to know, as far as bosses go, there are bigger and deadlier things out there than a Moon Eater. They said, in reference to deadliness and ancient weapons and stuff like that, the Moon Eater is a cow. So we have probably some big things, probably some huge fights coming in the future. All right, the next one is from Aki. All right. When it comes to smart assemblies, can you talk about how far you want to go with automation? Do you intend to allow it to be controlled programmably, or will some of it always involve manual effort from players? Okay, so basically automation. They said a bit of both. They want to build the primitives of automation where players can then take that and build on top of that. The way they explained this was basically like back in the day when people would design websites, right? You'd bring in the software, you write your HTML code, your CSS code, you have to use separate programs to do that. And then people would build things on top of that to make it easier for your average person to build a website. Same thing goes here. They also use the example of Minecraft where redstones and pistons were used to do simple automation, and then players would then take that and basically build on top of that, making like supercomputers with these things. That's what they're expecting to happen here in this game. They also want to build everything around energy usage, right? The more automation that you are using, the more energy that's needed and consumed, and the more manual, the less energy that's going to be needed for that. There was also a question in the chat that they read off about players not being well versed into programming or being devs themselves. How can they, interact with this? Since it's going to be such a large part of the game. And they said players who do not know how to code, players who do know how to code will build the original things for those that come after them, right? Those that don't know how to code or how to program or anything like that, there's going to be built-in modules that you can just drop in to perform the tasks that you want. So anyone that wants like something super automated or super tailored is going to have to program it, but you can do the rudimentary things. Even the person who doesn't know anything about programming can just take the module from the unit, put it in, and do rudimentarily what you want it to do. So it's going to be accessible to all types of players. The next question is about progression and skill points, and this is from Aki. It says, could you please give us an update on progression and what you think it'll look like? If possible, could you talk about ideas for progression that were tried, scrapped, and definitely won't be in Frontier? Well, they didn't really talk about that. They did talk about there will be skill points down the road for both active and passive. They have a plan of how they want to address it, but they want to finish the building blocks of the game first before even introducing the skill queue and skills. Because not only are you going to have skills for basically everything in the game, but they're player-driven skills as well on how you control your ship and how well you can control your ship. The next question is about lenses, like for your rift mining. And this is Aki again. There has been a lot of discussion around lenses and how they can only be acquired from keeps. In the past, we saw that the team experiment with SSU lens vendors. Is this the intention still to limit lenses to keeps, or any ideas being considered? Is this a challenge we as players have to work on? They realize that lenses are a big part of the economy, right? You need this to mine out your rifts to get your fuel so you can, do more things. Currently, how it's in the game is not how it's going to be down the line, right? You'll be able to get them elsewhere. In fact, you'll actually be able to build them through the recipes in your base, as well as getting them from other NPC structures other than keeps down the road. So there'll be other NPC type, I guess, stations or whatnot that are not keeps, but things like that where you'll be able to get them. So they will be spread out, and there'll be multiple ways of getting these lenses so you can do your rift mining. And the last question was, what did they learn, right? What has the team learned from this cycle so far? And they said they are constantly looking at and analyzing all of the data that's gathered. They also did learn that, Jotun can't last 5 minutes in a stream without dying. Base building, storage units, camera issues, ship controls, they all rely on and they look at players' comments and suggestions on the official Discord as well as the Reddit to help them with a lot of these changes, as well as it helps with everything being built into the client so they can just get that data right from there. So that's all your Q&A questions. We did go over. We did about 27 minutes. Sorry, it was a big one today, and I didn't want to miss any of the points that were brought up. So I hope this answers your questions. If you still want to see their full explanations, go over to CCP's Twitch channel, and you'll be able to look it up and watch the hour-long video that they put out on it. Until I talk to you guys again, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Fly safe. And remember, here on this channel, we're always one vision, one purpose, one front. I'll see you guys in the next video.